So the concept of the physical footprint of a wastewater treatment plant, I think, is clear. A wastewater treatment plant usually has a fence around it, and the area inside the fence would be considered the physical footprint. Wastewater treatment plants, however, do have a much more significant impact on the environment. And one of these impacts is the psychological footprint. What is the psychological footprint? We would like to illustrate in the next slides. When we take a look at a typical traditional wastewater treatment plant, this is what we see. And if I ask you the question, how close would you buy a house or an apartment to a treatment plant like this? The answer I get is typically not even a number. There's usually silence. People think. And then the answer is as far as possible. And it is natural that we don't want to live next to a smelly and ugly wastewater treatment plant. So the area defined by the radius where this repulsive effect is present would be the psychological footprint of these plants. So we can establish that the psychological footprint of a traditional plant is several times larger than the piece of land that it occupies. For example, a nuclear reactor would have a psychological footprint of tens of kilometers, because there are many, many people who would be reluctant to live much closer to the reactor. And of course, the reasons are not necessarily smell or aesthetics, but other health concerns and safety concerns. Another good way to illustrate the psychological footprint is the simple building of an outhouse. So let's take an outhouse. The physical footprint of an outhouse would be about 2 square meters. Now, if you take this outhouse and then you consider how close would you have a nice picnic to that outhouse? Of course, we are way beyond the 2 square meters, and you would consider maybe 10, 20, 100, or 200 meters away from that. But it's not necessarily the function of the outhouse that makes it repulsive, but the way it looks, or possibly the way it smells. Take a look at this nice bathroom. It's not totally inconceivable to have a bottle of champagne in that bathtub about 2 meters away from the loo, or even a little snack. That is just to illustrate that the psychological footprint of a particular facility, in this case of the function of the outhouse, is massively influenced of the way you design and build that facility. We all strive to live near places like this. All other things being equal, the real estate prices in cities are much higher near green areas and near parks like this. Now, an Organica plant is exactly what you get. Inside the greenhouse, a botanical garden which reclaims the used water and turns into life-supporting, vibrant, natural water again. So when your treatment facility looks like this and smells like a flower garden, you don't mind living or working right next door. This means that the psychological footprint of an Organica plant equals its physical footprint.